Why do we use would have been? Recently, many students have asked me, why do we use would have been? In this video, I'm going to explain exactly why and how you use this common yet often confusing English phrase. Tools in operation. The core role of be. When you use would have been, the verb be is the central component. Let's look at the forms. Here it is in the simple form, be. Here it is in the past tense, was, were. And this is the past participle, been, which follows would have. 3 ways to finish the phrase. After would have been, you have 3 main choices for what comes next. An adjective, such as the word terrible. A noun, such as disaster, but remember, you often need an article, a disaster. A verb, passive voice. If you choose a verb, like destroyed, this verb now becomes the main action, and the whole structure is in the passive voice. Key takeaway. In the first 2 cases, adjective or a noun, the main verb is be, would have been. When you use a past participle verb, like destroyed, it's the main action that follows. First scenario, what if? Asking about past possibility. We use would have been primarily to discuss a situation that didn't happen but was a past possibility. We often start these questions with what if. Look at my car here. What if my car had fallen off a cliff and into the water? Notice the past perfect tense, had fallen. To answer that question, you use would have been. For the situation, it would have been terrible, adjective. Or it would have been a disaster, noun. Or passive, it would have been destroyed, main verb passive voice. For me, I would have been killed, passive voice. Delivery tip, contractions and fast speech. You will often hear the contraction of would have to would've. Would have becomes would've. This sounds a little bit like the word of. In fact, you sometimes see people incorrectly spell it would've been, because that's what the contraction sounds like, would've. And when someone speaks English very quickly, this can sound like woulda, woulda been. My advice, I recommend using the full form or the clear would have been, but be prepared to hear woulda been from native speakers. This applies to other modal verbs too. Shoulda been or coulda been. That would have been great. It would have been a good time. Examples of contractions in context. That would have been great. It would have been a good time. Scenario 2, detailed examples, the structure. Let's look at the common structure. Result using would have been plus if plus past perfect condition. Example 1, using an adjective hungry. I would have been hungry, adjective, if I had not eaten breakfast earlier. The if I had not eaten part, which is past perfect negative, means I did eat breakfast earlier. The reality is I am not hungry, but the past possibility was I would have been hungry. Example 2, using an adjective upset. She would have been upset, adjective, if you had arrived late. The reality is you arrived on time. Therefore, she was not upset. And you can start with if too. If you had arrived late, comma, she would have been upset. Example 3, using an adjective, done, finished. We wouldn't have been done by now if we hadn't wasted so much time. Hadn't wasted, past perfect negative, means we did waste a lot of time. The reality is we are not done. Example 4, using a noun, disaster. It would have been a disaster if we had not prepared ahead of time. The reality is we did prepare, so everything was okay. Example 5, talking about occupations, what I could have been. I would have been a farmer if I had not become a teacher. This is often true for things you are interested in. I could put lawyer, doctor, or farmer. All are possibilities I considered. Example 6, using the passive voice, killed. If she had not worn her seatbelt, she would have been killed in the accident. This is the passive voice, would have been plus past participle, killed. The reality is she did wear her seatbelt, so she was not killed. Real-world application, if the government shutdown is current, if the government had not shut down, the workers would have been paid. Currently, federal workers are working without pay because Congress hasn't agreed. This is a perfect example of what would have been different. Conclusion. That covers the core meaning and structure of would have been. It's essential for talking about things that could have happened in the past, but didn't. If this video helped you, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more English lessons.